I believe what God is up to is about to be what? Big. Do me a favor if you're watching tonight and you still believe that the pandemic does not change the promise. I need 100 people to type big right now. Big, 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 big. Just go ahead and heart when I get to you. I'm believing God for big blessings. Y'all too quiet tonight. I'm believing God for big opportunities. I'm believing God for big healing. I'm believing God to do what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. Somebody shout big, big. Well, I am excited. Number one, where are you watching from? Throw your city in the comment. These morning devotionals have been incredible. Shout out to the best church in the world. You know you have a great church when it's not about the man, it's about the message. And every person has been on there. Pastor Holla, Pastor Henry, Pastor Leslie, all of our elders and ministers and team, Pastor James and Ryan. Pastor Ryan did a phenomenal job. Zagoon, I saw you play, you're holding it down. I ain't seen nobody teach with muscles in a long time. He was on there teaching his devotional with muscles, but my MVP of the devotional has been Minister Jason. Oh, he blessed me the other day. Well, listen, let's stop playing. Normally you see all my fellas with me tonight. Black Girl Magic is in the house, man. We got our all ladies female panel tonight. Let's start over here. Here we go right now with Aisha. She's holding it down. I'm so excited. If you see her makeup and you like her makeup, tell them the name of your organization real quick. Tell them.
Essence by Isha.
Essence by Isha. We should have threw her Instagram up. She does tutorials on her makeup. Zoom in, get that foundation. Look at those cheeks. In Jesus' name, that's what I'm talking about right here. Our very own, the evangelist of our church, Evangelist Carlene Woods. I am so proud of her. Ladies from Rock City, you've been seeing her on the Glow Room. Just tell them, hey, real quick.
Hey, everybody.
We're so excited about what God is doing in her life. If you want to see firecracker, she's on fire for God. Right here, we got our executive director, Tiffany Samuel. Say, what's up? Everybody's been hitting her up because during this pandemic, God's been blessing her to where she's been buying properties and renovating them and doing some good things for the community, providing affordable homes and affordable housing for those in need. So if you like flipping properties and some more stuff, make sure you holler at her. Here she come. Miss Vershana, I am so excited to have her with me. This is Minister Tez, his wife. She is phenomenal, intellectual. Maya Lynn. Hold on, zoom in, get those earrings. If you love her earrings, she does them herself. Tell them your brand. Tell them.
ChicByV.com.
Chic, say it again.
Chic by V, CHIC.
Hey, she got them in all colors. I should have put some on tonight for you. And last but not least, back from a little vacay is the walking almanac, the walking dictionary herself, Elder Leslie. Are you ready for a good word tonight? Ready, set, grow. This past weekend, we dove deep into part 2 of a series I'm in entitled Insanity. And I don't know about you, but it's been blessing my life. Insanity. Let's see. The first definition of insanity is a popular one. It literally says it's doing the same thing, expecting what? A different result. It is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Let's dive into this real clear right here, because the first thing I want to ask you guys, and I want to put you on the spot, just like I do my fellas, what are some areas in your life that you have been doing the same thing, expecting a different result?
For me, expecting people to give you something they're proven they're just not capable of giving.
Oh, say that again. Say that again. Expecting
people to give you something they have proven they are not capable of giving you.
So explain that to them. Help us with that.
Since the ladies, I know we like to talk about relationships. So expecting in a relationship from someone who has proven to you they cannot give you the love that you desire or the love that you need. So it's insane to keep expecting it of them. Either you deal with it and help and show them how to love you, or you go on, because it's insane to keep expecting it when they've proven they can't give it.
What's crazy is, and I'm gonna say this the best way I can, if you are a 5-gallon individual connected to 1-gallon people, even if they gave you their all, it wouldn't be enough. I want to argue that insanity is expecting more from an empty vessel. I'm going to say that again. Insanity is expecting more from an empty vessel. Somebody else jump in there. What are some places where you've been doing the same thing, expecting a different result?
For me, a lot of times it's having these dreams and ideas, sometimes especially being around Pastor Mike.
Yeah.
Like, he is the dream junkie. I promise you, he will make you think that you can run through a brick wall if you try hard enough, but not actually putting forth a plan and actually taking the first step to get things done and thinking, oh, well, God will make it happen. No, God honors your word. You got to put your feet on the ground and actually get going and take the first step.
That's good. And I think that's so incredible, man, because so many people start businesses and they get going and don't even realize it's more to what he's trying to do in your life. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. But then the second definition of that is simple. What is it, Pastor Mike? It's doing something that makes no sense to man, but perfect sense to God. I'm coming to you on this. Get ready, Carlene. You already know what I'm talking about. Doing something that makes no sense to man, perfect sense to God. You called me a couple weeks ago and said, Pastor, I feel like God's laid something on my heart. I said, what? You said the glow room. And I was sitting there and said, how you feel? You feel God on? I said, go for it. Why, PMJ? How do you birth the ministry in the midst of a pandemic? I'm doing something that makes no sense to man. Perfect sense to God. Talk about that.
My God had given me a vision. I was laying down one day and he showed me water. And the guy in the vision, I didn't saw him throw the rope in, but the rope was already in the water. And the rail began to spin back. And God told me, he said, time is winding up. And I felt the weight, I felt the pressure, and I felt the burden. And I knew that God was getting ready to do more through me so that others can come forth.
And see, what happens a lot of times is when we move outside the will of God, we miss that favor moment. Did you catch what I just said right there? So I want to jump into this because we talked about this past weekend, Make Me Want to Holler. Make me want to holler. We were dealing with this brother Bartimaeus, this blind brother in Mark chapter 10, verses 47 through 48. When Bartimaeus heard that Jesus of Nazareth was nearby, he began to shout. Now that's critical. I believe context is crucial. I've said it once and I've said it again. A text without context becomes a pretext, thus conning you out of the truth. What does that mean, Pastor Mike? We can't jump into verse 46 without diving into verses 35 to 45. Because in verses 35 to 45, we see Jesus dealing with some church stuff. His disciples have been bothering him about a position. They were arguing about who would sit on the left and who would sit on the right. Nothing is wrong with wanting a good seat in the kingdom. What's the problem, PMJ? I'm not sure about their motives. Now let's pause there for a minute. Thousands of people at our church, hundreds of ministers, elders, and deacons in our ministry. And one thing I am eternally grateful for is that mess never gets in front of meaningful ministry. I'm gonna say that again. Mess never gets in front of meaningful ministry. There may be a pastor watching right now and you're saying, Pastor Mike, I'm trying my best to birth my church and do what God is calling me to do, but it's just so many problems and issue birthing. Let me stop for a minute and parenthetically digress and suggest to you, put this in your notes, ministry is messy. Did you catch what I just said? Now, what's insane church? Insane church is when you allow mess to stop meaningful ministry. But church means ministry is what? Messy. You're going to have to get dirty in some stuff. You're going to have to love people right where they are. And what I want to talk about tonight is that we can't allow mess to impact meaningful ministry. I want to talk about this because so many times I hear women talk about the difficulty of being a woman in ministry, the difficulty of your voice being heard, especially with this patriarchal society where everything is man-driven. What are some of the ways that you've had to overcome mess in ministry?
Well, for me, when it comes to mess in ministry, the way that I overcame that was totally believing that I had already been picked. I had already been chosen. I had already been seen by God. And that was it. That's all I needed, was to know that God saw me. And so when it came to ministry, it made it easier. Okay, I'm not worried about what you all are saying. God sees me.
That's what. Can you go back there? You said you knew you had already been picked.
I knew I had already been picked, chosen, and seen by God.
So this pick, I need y'all taking notes? I need somebody watching me right now to put this in the comments. Picked, chosen, seen. That's cold-blooded. I want to do it picked, chosen, seen. Or we can just deal with two of them, chosen and seen. We can deal with those two right there, chosen and seen. Why, PMJ? Many of you are depressed because you haven't been selected when you should be shouting that you've been chosen. You missed what I just said. Many of you are crying and depressed and jealous and envious and angry because people won't select you when you should be excited because God chose you. I'm going to say this and somebody going to get excited when I say it. There isn't a stage big enough that equates to God choosing me to be what he called me to be. Chosen. Somebody say chosen. I'm finna put you on the spot. I need a sister to talk about. Jump in there. I feel you. Jump in there. Come on now.
Also, instead of being jealous, if you take more time to realize that you are chosen by God, you will not be jealous of anyone else because you'll be working on the things that God told you to do. So if you be obedient instead of being jealous of that woman or man of God, then you'll be able to be in a position where God can use you more.
Say chosen.
Chosen.
I'm in the wrong church today. Y'all finna make me miss my fellas. Y'all being too cute tonight. Say chosen. See, it's too much jealousy in ministry, too much jealousy on your job, too much jealousy in your family because you're so busy trying to be selected that you've ignored the fact that God has chose you. See, you do faces, you do style. Let me show you how this works. If she was too busy looking at what God was doing in your life, she would be saying, I need to get me some earrings and some clothes too. But since she know I was chosen by God and one of the areas I'm a glow in is in the area of making sure people are beat to the gods, what I can do now is say, you know what? Go get your look from her. And then let me get you right before you walk out the house. I bind the spirit of competition and I speak collaboration. Somebody just shout, we ain't got to fight, we can win together. Somebody ought to put that in the comments. We don't have to fight, we can win together. Chosen. Somebody say chosen.
Also, that's right. One thing I realized as I matured in ministry, God created women, because I know we're talking about even just a mess, and most of the time it's a lot of female mess in church.
Yeah.
But God created women with a DNA, with chemistry inside of us that has the ability to ignite something in another female. Women, we all know about our hormones. So if God created us, he created us to say, no, it's something in you that when you link up with the right female, it's going to wake your baby up. Come on, Mary and Elizabeth. It's something about you. When you come around me, it's going to make my baby leap. It's going to let me know, again, like Pastor Mike just said, you do makeup, you do earrings. We're going to get together and we're going to collaborate. And so we have to do that wedding party. They already got everything they need because me and you, we in the house. Amen.
That hormone, that's critical. I heard my wife say this before. She said, baby, when women get together and start hanging together, we can get together and our bodies start syncing to where everybody's time. Can I say that as a man? Oh my God, can I say that as a man? Everybody, time, can we just call it time? Everybody's time starts at the same time because we in sync. And what I need you to, he said, I've been chosen. Here's the second thing, I've been seen. Now that was critical, and I'm glad you said, who wants to collaborate on being seen by God? Anybody want to jump in there? Being seen.
I think that's one of the things that, like you said, with the patriarchal society that we struggle with is this whole idea of being seen. Because for a lot of women, it's wait your turn, or you got to pay your dues, or nobody wants to hear you, you have nothing to say. But when you realize that the one that God has called you and God has already seen you,
come on.
It doesn't compare to what any man can say. No man can stop you or block you from what God has called you to do.
Shout out to one of our members, man, Eric Guster. We were doing a marriage panel. Eric Guster, shout out to him. We were doing a marriage panel, and we were moving so fast. And on the paperwork, they had Pastor Mike, Lady J, Pastor Henry, Elder Toya, so-and-so, so-and-so. And we were moving so fast, and they're new. So they literally put Eric Guster and wife. And he called and lost it. He said, hey, my wife done been through too much, got too many degrees, have worked too hard to be disrespected and called wife. She has a name. That's cold-blooded. And see, so many times we are fighting to be seen. We are fighting to be seen. You are more than D. Jerome's wife. You are more than Ted's wife. You are more than somebody at home with the kids. Being seen by God, that is critical. So what do I want you to realize? He's telling them that I don't mind you having a good position, but I just want you to check your motives. I want you to check your motives. That's cold-blooded. I want you to check your motives. See, one thing you don't have to realize is, Rashana, sitting here tonight, at no point would you have ever said, hey, these are my earrings, because you don't roll like that. But when your motive's right, somebody will promote you. Did you catch that? This is cold-blooded. Go to verse 46. Then they reached Jericho, and as Jesus and his disciples left town, a large crowd followed him, a blind beggar named Bartimaeus. I want to pause and parenthetically digress, and I can see Pastor Hollis and Pastor James behind the camera sitting there looking as if they want some of this, but it ain't their night tonight, so they got to sit where they are. I see something in this scripture that I want to talk about. I want to talk about this. You got your phones out? Are you watching at home? Put this in your notes. Be careful of when people put adjectives on your nouns. I see a double adjective that I missed Sunday. I missed this Sunday. He's not blind, Bartimaeus. Can you put verse 46 on the screen, please? It literally says, you see it right there? A blind beggar named Bartimaeus. They gave him, watch this, detailed account of who he is. Watch this. Blind is his issue. Begging is his occupation. You missed what I just said. He's blind. That's his existential plight. Begging is what he's known for doing. I want to submit to you that if you're not careful, you're going to live according to other people's adjectives. Labels. That's so cold-blooded. Labels. What is he doing? He said he's right there. Why is he right there? It's Passover season, which means thousands of pilgrims make their promising pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Blind Bartimaeus knew this, and he also knew that religious people were more sensitive to the needs of helpless people. So what do we see? It's right there on your screen. The first thing that literally leaps out of the text is that, number one, he positioned himself for a blessing. Jump in there.
Good. Well, one thing I was reading, what caught my attention is that every version kept talking about the son of Timaeus. So it made me go back and say, okay, as you taught us, there's no wasted ink in the Bible.
Absolutely.
So I go and look up, what do his father's name mean? And Timaeus actually meant honor. So he was birthed in honor, yet he was begging. So that right there caught me, because I'm like, hold up. We could look at him and say, how dare you beg? But that's like us. God called us, we're his royal priesthood, yet we're around here begging. He said we're the head and not the tail, but we're settling. So as we look and say he's begging, what jumped off in his life? What happened? Because again, he was birthed in honor.
Now, Leslie, this is something we got to research, because you just birthed something in me. I hope you catch this. If it's called honor, where's his daddy?
So that's the interesting thing. I was looking into it after Elder Tiffany was sharing that with me. And actually the name Bartimaeus itself, I was going to tell you, he's got a third adjective, because Bartimaeus literally means son of. Bar means son of Timaeus. So it's believed that he and his father both went on to become disciples and were well known in the church that Mark would have pastored. What's believed to have happened is it's believed to also have been the same story that was told in Matthew and Luke, but they mentioned two beggars. However, Mark only mentions one. And so they believe that him and his father both were present, and they became disciples of Jesus. And another interesting thing about Bartimaeus is it's the last miracle that Mark records. And Bartimaeus, if you ever pay attention, is the only person that's ever named. Everybody else is just called by their issue. It's the woman with the issue of blood. It's the blind man. It's Jairus' daughter. But Bartimaeus is the only person that Jesus healed who has a name.
Let's talk about this. So why was he named?
He was named in Mark.
Dig deep.
In Mark, when you look at the story, it's broken down into Act 1, Act 2, and this is a conclusion to Act 2. And it's actually a parallel showing where you deal with people who are spiritually blind and people who are physically blind. And they compare the spiritual blindness of those who are supposed to know God and those who are coming to know God, the disciples. Say it again.
Why was he named?
Why was he named?
I don't need you to lean on intellect now. Now dig into revelation. Revelation in your spirit. God, I feel God. Start this statement. So you're watching right now. Here's how I challenge everybody around me. So intellectual and revelation. So now I feel God named him because. Go.
I feel God named him because it was the last work that was performed on the way to the cross. On the way to the cross, but because, you need me to help you? Help me.
He would be named later.
Oh.
So God says he's not an ordinary issue. Because he's going to be used, you got to remember him. That's called revelation. See, because he's going to be used, I need y'all to know the next time you hear his name, don't forget his story. I'm preaching to somebody here. Somebody type, don't forget my name. I might have church. I may have church. Somebody type, don't forget my name. I'm in the wrong service. Shout, don't forget my name. That, the same thing you called me in 2019, don't forget that in 2021. The same way you said I was broke in 2018, don't forget that in 2022. The reason God put my name in your mouth is because when you see me by this time next year, somebody shout by this time next year. Don't forget that Rod, leave me alone. Don't forget, I'm gonna sit down. Don't forget my name. So watch this when I say this. Now, this is why, because the reason his name is lifted, this is revelatory knowledge. So, of course, you got intellectual knowledge, scholarly knowledge. I lean more on, I'm more of a revelatory preacher. That's how my father raised me. He was more revelatory, all right? So with me, I feel like God gives me a keen insight on the text. So what do we see? We see people with issues who are nameless, and those who carry weight into their occupation or their destiny, they name. Zacchaeus. He's a tax collector. I want you to know somebody of prominence was dealing with something. What do we see in this particular text? He positioned himself for a blessing. That's critical.
Pastor Mike, I also see in the text that he was the one that was forgotten, but he was also focused.
Say that again.
He was the one who was forgotten, but he was also focused.
Yeah, he was forgotten. Explain that though.
I can remember many times in my life when I was in college and I knew I was supposed to be seeking God, but I stopped when I should have been focused.
Forgotten but focused. Position. So let's talk about this, the principle of the place. The principle of the place. The principle of the place. I take a lot of credit sometimes. I mean, I don't do it publicly, but privately. For many of you guys, I mean, it's from the bottom of my heart. I get arrogant like they did in the apostles in the New Testament. I say stuff like, you are my work. I love when who said that, Leslie? Paul. He said, no, Timothy, you my work. No, I poured into you. I trained you. I built you. And for so many people who get close to me, I'm like, no, you are my work. Like, I am so gifted. I love seeing what God is doing in your life, but we have to respect the place. That's critical. That is so critical. The principle of the place. What's the principle of the place? It's right there on your screen. It means that my well-being and welfare is not just determined by who I am, but equally impacted by where I am. That's critical. That's critical. The principle of the place. It means who you are is enhanced or damaged by the place you're in. That's critical. That's critical. Aisha, I want to put you on the spot because I remember when you left the church, you had to take your little break. Remember you took your little break, Aisha? You remember you take your little break, so we had to Facebook stalk you to see how you was doing and all that good stuff. But in that, I'll never forget, I always told Tiffany, she's coming home. She's coming home. See, this is why I'm so grateful. And if you're a pastor watching right now and you have the blessing and the precious privilege of pastoring millennials and younger people, a lot of times the same way they lead, I call that your college season. Because when you come to us as a baby, you need some time. That's what LeBron said when he went to Miami. He said he realized I had never been outside of Ohio. So those 4 years for me was sort of like college. I want to talk about this. So from a distance, did it make you appreciate the place more? Let's talk about that.
Well, while I was on sabbatical, one thing, I did miss the place. I missed the place of freedom, the place of where I knew where God was. I was going to a new place and visiting, different houses. No, I have a house. Yeah. I have a home. And I just started visiting when you were at Boutwell, and the sermon topic was home. I said, okay, God. That's it. I ain't going back. Yeah. That's why I said, I ain't going back. And then you home. I said, okay. And I talked to Elder Tiffany. I said, it's something about the place. Yeah. When I came back, it wasn't, oh my God, are people gonna be looking at me? What people gonna think? No, home. This is the place. This is home. This is where God has called me to. Okay, you went out, you healed, come back. Now show other people the way.
Now you wanna know something that's cold-blooded about that and most pastors won't admit? I am so grateful. I am so grateful that even when you did take your break, it made me remodel the place. See, because everybody who leave your church ain't an issue. Sometimes your place ain't nice enough. Or your place ain't structured enough. See, it made me realize if I'm gonna have all these gifted people around me, I gotta make sure I got more rooms in the place. In my Father's house are many places. I don't think you heard what I just said. In my Father's house are many mansions. And I had to realize if I'm trying to build something where gifted people can thrive, I gotta make sure the place is nice enough. And what I'm trying to get you to realize is who I am is just as important as where I am. I'm gonna say it again. Who I am is just as important as where I am. This is so critical as I look at school systems preparing to go back to school, and people are struggling to practice remote learning and virtual learning. My children who are in the Hoover school system, I'm just learning their place is structured for whatever. And it's given me a deeper concern and a deeper passion now to make sure every place is right. Now, when I'm thinking about my students at Central Park, we're trying to make sure everybody has iPads. Everybody I think we bought everybody, was it Chromebooks? They got Chromebooks to make sure everybody has something. Why? Too many of us are spending too much time trying to build us when we need to make sure we're in the right place. The right place. Who you are is enhanced or damaged by the place. Insanity is believing that dead places can bring life.
That's like the prodigal son.
Come on.
He left and went to a different place, not realizing it actually took him to go be in a pigsty to know that my place, the place where I'm supposed to be, is my home.
Yes, and I'm excited about that. Why, PMJ? Because there's so much in this. It says when he heard. Somebody say heard. So what do we see? One of the things that leaps out of the text, I see insane hearing. Insane hearing. Can we define insane hearing? Here's the definition. Insane hearing is the ability to catch what others missed. That's cold-blooded. It is the ability. Tiffany, you was tripping the other day. You said something to me that blessed me. You said, although I'm not a pastor on staff, et cetera, you probably should be. I don't know why we call you Elder Tiffany. You do so much. But even though I'm not preaching, I'm preaching on Sundays or preaching on panels or have a ministry like that, you said what people don't realize is while you were pouring into other people's, I was catching the spill. So I want you to say, jump in there. Come on.
It's impossible for you to pour from a high level, from a high position. Think about when you're pouring a bottle into a glass, that spill that come out, the little sprinkles. So while he was pouring it to others, I was catching the spill because I'm going to stay close enough to him to wherever he say, I'm a sponge, I'm going to take it up. I'm going to pull it all in because what he said mattered. What he say changed my life. Mm-hmm. And so it was whatever he said, I was going to be a sponge.
Insane hearing is the ability to catch what others miss. Now, I want you to really, really catch this right now because I want to see one of the unique gifts God has given me is spiritual translation. I can take what somebody is saying and make it practical and applicable to show you how to make it applicable to your life. She said, I caught the spill. That was churchy. I want to modernize, contemporize, or McClureize that. What does that mean, Pastor Mike? While you was talking to him, I eavesdropped on a lesson. This is what Bartimaeus does. Bartimaeus is sitting on a roadside. People are talking and the conversation shifts. As the conversation begins to shift, he heard what other people missed. Y'all missed what I just said. He heard, can you put the scripture on the screen? I believe it says, he heard that Jesus was nearby. When Bartimaeus heard that Jesus of Nazareth was nearby, he began to shout. Why is that important? He heard Jesus, all right? Everybody else heard Jesus. He heard healer.
Absolutely.
Come on.
When it comes to that, Bartimaeus, they said Jesus was nearby, but what Bartimaeus had said, no, he's the Messiah. That's why he called him the son of David.
Yes.
He said, no, that's his messianic name. No, I'm calling him the Messiah, the promised one. I know that he has everything that I need. So he said, no, what you heard was Jesus. Oh, but I heard healer.
Yeah.
So because in 2016, I knew him as comforter. 2017, I knew him as deliverer. But it depends on what you need from him. It's what you hear.
It depends on what place you in, what you hear. Jesus Christ, come on.
Aunt that's born legally blind. And I took her to the doctor one time and he was talking about her sight. And I said, well, it's funny though, because even though she can't see that well, her hearing. He said, yes, when you, with your senses, what you lack in one, God has given you in hinds in another. So, and I know we're saying he heard, but did he hear it through them talking, or he could hear before they ever heard? That's why they probably told him to shut up. Because they don't know he's on his way, on the way yet. So he heard the crowd following Jesus because he could hear before others could hear because his hearing is heightened. So while they waiting to see it, he done already heard it.
But I like that because again, that's what we do tonight. We challenge the text. I love what you said again because if we're talking about this, you're pushing my mind. The footsteps increased.
The multitude was following him.
At the point, it says it was close to Passover. So it would have meant that people weren't just traveling by themselves. It wasn't just 2 or 3 people together. When it got close to festival times, going from Jericho to Jerusalem, there would be a crowd of people. So all of a sudden you get a larger crowd coming through. And of course, as people are moving, very rarely do you have people who move quietly. So they're talking about Jesus, but they say Jesus of Nazareth. That's important because Jesus was one of the most common names at that time. So just to say Jesus, that didn't mean anything, but to say Jesus of Nazareth, the specific word that they used referenced not only the place, but the power that was connected to the place, because that's where the Messiah would come from.
I like what you said, Tiffany. You said other things are heightened. We said this Sunday, let's say it again. We've learned to maximize your strengths and work on your weaknesses. That's critical. Maximize your strengths and work on your weaknesses. Time to put you on the spot. Vashana, what's a weakness?
Weakness for me.
Come on.
Okay, not forgiving.
Let's talk about that. Forgiving. Yeah. Let's talk about how that's a weakness for you. So there are areas of your life where you need, God, help me forgive better.
Yes, Lord.
So is it forgiving or forgetting?
I think I am the type of person, I will busy myself to forget. It's forgiving you, actually having the behavior of forgiveness. Not that I just don't act like everything is okay, but I really do still harbor something in my heart against what you have done, what I feel like you have done.
Here's what's crazy, and I'm so glad you were so transparent and honest about that. Here's what's crazy. You know it.
Yeah.
Yet you still let it be weak. That's cold-blooded, ain't it? Yeah. You know it, yet you... So I want to talk about this because his name is blind Bartimaeus, all right? I'm positive when he was a kid, he didn't pick being blind. Because there are some issues you just don't choose. They choose you. I don't think you heard what I just said. There are certain issues. Nothing in you said, I want to walk around and don't forgive people. Life chose you in that area. I want to stop and parenthetically digress and submit to somebody watching tonight that you need to stop beating yourself up for the stuff you didn't pick. Sometimes life just happened. Maximize your strengths. Work on your weaknesses. And I like this particular text because it says, when he heard, he shouted. Oh my God. When he heard, he shouted. Now, if we were going to have old school Baptist church, this is where we would have good church. This is your type of church, colleague. Because praise is the automatic response to the name of Jesus.
Come on.
That's cold-blooded. Praise should be the automatic response to the name of Jesus. So not only do we see he positioned himself for a blessing, number 2, he pursued it with passion. He pursued it with passion. I hope you catch this now. I want you to understand there are certain seasons of your life where you can't be passive. There are certain seasons of your life where you just can't be passive. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. What did he shout? Jesus, Son of David, have what? Mercy on me. Let's talk about that. We talked about the Son of David, Leslie, being his messianic title. Let's dive deep into that. Let's talk about that.
So this has to do with back in the Old Testament when Jesus was prophesied, and they told him that there would always be a king from the root of David.
Yes.
So therefore they knew that the Messiah would come from the line of David, and Jesus came from the line of David through Joseph. So for them to say Jesus, Son of David, was to acknowledge the Old Testament prophecy of who the Messiah would be.
Revelation. Somebody put your revelation on that. This is live teaching and training. Revelation. Son of David. Go.
Of Son of David. Blind Bartimaeus was not calling out to God based off who he was in his insufficiency, but based off who God is, who is sufficient.
That's good. Son of David. It's something I want to hear. Let's dig deep. Son of David. Son of David, Son of David. Okay, you want me to help you? He's from the lineage of who? David. Of David. David is known as a
man after God's own heart.
Man after God's own heart, who helped pen most of the
Psalms,
which are
songs of worship.
Songs of worship. Songs of worship. He watched this son. You just caught what I just said. Sons of worship, Revelation. So he says, you know what? I'm not just gonna ask. Watch this. I'm gonna do what his lineage is like.
I'm gonna give action to it.
I'm gonna honor where he come from in order to get where I need to be. Did you get? So everybody heard a scream, God heard a cry.
That's good.
Because there's a difference between a scream and a cry. A scream is aimlessly asking for anybody to help. A cry is asking for you to help. preach, PMJ. A kidnapped victim shouts, help me, which means whoever hears it, show up. I don't know if you got the power to help me or not. I just want somebody. But a baby says, mama, because there's a difference between a scream and a cry. This brother isn't screaming. He's crying out. A cry is when I cannot properly articulate with words what I need in my life. So I let out a sound that lets the one who has the power to change it know I need him. Now I got mamas in here. Every mama throw your hand up. Every mama throw your hand up. Watch this. So mamas, I want you to catch this. Aunties, catch this right here. All right, it can be 45 kids at the house. We might have church in here. Vershana, you got 2 babies now, right? It can be 65 kids at your mama house in Anniston kicking it. You can be in the kitchen cooking, laughing, watching whatever you're doing on TV, y'all having a good time, and out of nowhere you can say, who was that? Then everybody be like, what you talking about? They hear me. That's Duke. See, I'm finna have church. Yes, they didn't even hear it originally. Yeah. But your ear is tuned to their voice. My child, that's it. Am I preaching to anybody in here? Your ear is tuned to their voice. I can be sitting on the couch, hear a cry, and know which child out of 5 it is. I don't know who I'm talking to right now, Rod. I feel God in here. I don't know who I'm talking to, but somebody watching me tonight is going through one of the most difficult seasons of your life. And you've been saying, what should I pray about it for? What should I worship about it for? Can't nobody around me help me. That's right. They can't help you, which means tonight you need to release a cry so the one who can help can step in and intervene in your situation. I don't know who I'm preaching to in here, but for the next 30 seconds from your living room, from your car, from a hospital bed, from work, find you a room to go into and just let your shout out right now. And I want to decree and declare God's about to swoop in and do exactly what you need him to do. I decree and declare that God's ear is tuned to your voice. Heaven's ear is tuned to your voice. That heaven is standing on tiptoe anticipation, ready to respond to the cries of his children. And I decree and declare that as you begin to shout, heaven's getting ready to break loose. As you begin to shout, miracles, signs, and wonders are about to invade your space. You ought to just shout your cry out right now and watch heaven step. I feel God in here. See, this is why I get excited tonight. My brothers probably would have been cool right there, clapping their hands, but I got intercessors around me. Colleen, just pray for them right there. Come on. Yes, God.
I speak peace in their minds,
yes,
oh God. Peace in their hearts, oh God.
Yes.
Peace in their homes, oh God. Peace in their marriage, oh God.
Yes.
I believe by faith that the fire of God is coming into your situation, God. And he's transforming you now. He's transforming you now. Things are being made over. Ways are being made. Breakthrough is coming. Shout breakthrough.
Breakthrough. Now hear me when I say this, and I need you to catch this from the bottom of my heart. Breakthrough. There is a sound within every person watching me tonight. There is a sound that something in you gets activated. This is why for some of you, when Elder Leslie begins to speak, Pastor Leslie and Pastor Henry began to speak, something in you get excited because the spirit man in you responds to intellectual. The sound of what they're saying agrees with you. There's some of you that the moment Elder Evangelist Colleen began to pray, something in you felt, because it was a sound that attached to your spirit that made something arise. He says, God's ear is tuned to my voice. But look at verse 48. I'm finna get you out of here. Be quiet. Many of the people yelled at him. Be quiet. I know you sisters are tired of people telling y'all to be quiet.
Oh, my.
I know you're tired of people telling you it ain't time yet. I know you're tired of people trying to dim your light. Can I ask you this question? One thing I want to destroy at our church, I want to use our church to destroy in our culture, because I don't see this a lot of our church, but I do want to destroy it in the culture of what I do see in women and so many different organizations and men, not just women, but I want to use you guys as a heuristic device to destroy this tonight. I want to speak by faith. You don't have to dim your light so I can shine. You don't have to dim your light so I can shine. He shout, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. How do I know he's not just yelling? Because his shout is educated. I'm finna have church by myself, Jet. This is an educated praise. Let me say something to you. I got a couple people who told me, Pastor Mike, I just love good church. I want you to love good church, but get some sense too. Because he didn't just shout Jesus. He shouted Jesus, Son of David. This is an educated praise. An educated praise. They told him, be quiet. But look at the text. He shouted even more. Now let's look at this. Go back a verse if you don't mind. Go back a verse. Verse 48, right there. 48a, be quiet. Many people yelled at him. So what do we see? Next B clause, he shouted more. They didn't have a problem with the noise because he shouting, they yelling. Sometimes it's not the what, but the who. I believe they were frustrated because it was him. It was him. Now let's dive into Tiffany's idea. Let's type your revelation. You said maybe he was shouting because his hearing was so dope that Jesus had not even been there yet, that he heard it coming. All right, I want to do this because the scripture says he turned to him and told him to come here. I want to argue with you today, and I pray you can receive this. I pray you can receive this. They didn't mind him asking for money. They were used to his voice, which is why they called him beggar. How you beg? Asking.
What I like is say Jesus stopped. Meaning God saying that I'm not going to be too far away, but you can't get to me.
Yes, God.
So because I know your issue, let me stop. But I need participatory deliverance. If you want it, come and get it.
Yes, God.
He said, whosoever will. He said, I don't make you choose heaven. I'm not going to make you, nevertheless, I ain't going to make you choose healing. Because he said, ye choose this day. So what I saw, he said, he stopped. So those same people who watched him beg had to witness him be healed.
And Pastor Mike, I also like the fact that he didn't allow the enemy or the believers to muffle his mouth.
Say that again.
I like the fact that he didn't allow the enemies or the believers around him to muffle his mouth.
Right. His desire to be healed was greater than the opinions of the people who told him to stop yelling.
Say it again.
His desire to be healed was greater than the opinions of the people around him. So regardless of you telling me to be quiet, I have a desire that is greater than anything you have to say. I've already been embarrassed. How more can I be embarrassed? So I might as well shout. The Messiah is here, Son of David is here. I might as well get my healing in the middle of it. I've already been begging. You can't help me, so let me call on the one who can.
Not only that, I want to go back to something Elder Tiffany said. It was the fact that Jesus stopped. When he stopped, it wasn't just him stopping. He stopped the whole crowd of people. Everybody had to take notice of what he was saying. And in that moment, it said, no matter where you are or what's going on, you're important to me.
And that's why we have to be careful of how we treat people as well. Is that what you were about to say? We have to be careful of how we treat people because you don't know when their time of deliverance is coming. And he'll do it in front of you.
And use you as a vessel because undoubtedly, he had to get to Jesus somehow. I'm pretty sure if Jesus said, come to me.
Bring him to me. Right. They had to bring him to Jesus.
And my only issue with the people who told him to be quiet is because they were supposed to be believers. You already have what I'm believing God for. You have sight. Why can't I get it? Why can't I get it? So even though he was physically blind, he spiritually saw. So they were physically able to see, but spiritually blind to Jesus' identity, who he was wrapped up to be.
God healing his sight, it's he also saved him.
He said,
come on. So God always gives us more than what we ask for. More than enough. We ask for. It's not either or, it's both and. I'm gonna heal you and save you.
He not only asked the question to get information, he asked the question to shine light on Bartimaeus' revelation. You know me to be the Son of David.
Come on.
You know me to be the Messiah. That's who you know me to be. So that's what I'll be forever. For all of my days, I'll be there for you. God said, I am a blank check. Write it. Whatever you need me to be. If it's redeemer, if it's restorer, if it's deliverer, whatever it is, write the check.
And had they had the same revelation that Bartimaeus had, they would have never told him to be quiet. Because the thing is, if you are operating in your spirit, then you cannot operate in your flesh. When they told him to be quiet, that was all flesh. And you cannot operate in your flesh and be led by the spirit. There's no way you would have told someone. That's it. That's it.
Sadly, Mark chapter 10, verse 48 is still happening today. I'm finna start this business. You ain't got no money, be quiet. Don't nobody from outside of town do stuff like that. Be quiet. Your mom and them tried that and it didn't work. Be quiet. What would have happened? What would have happened if everybody would have started shouting him? I'm so, come on.
You serve a God that it will happen anyway. Whether or not you direct me to where I need to be, God will still see me. Whether or not you help me, whether or not you push me, whether or not you support me, whether or not you come see me,
yes,
God will still come to me and heal me. Even though you are a naysayer, even though you're telling me to be quiet, even though you're trying to silence me, trying to stop me, God will still come anyway and still give me what I need.
What is, I want to push you, what is, first, I just want to tell each and every one of you how proud I am of you and just feel God. I wish you guys were in here with me. You can just feel the presence of God in this room. I want to push you intellectually and spiritually right now. What is the word? There's a spiritual word that describes what Bartimaeus had instead of sight. No, not just faith. Not just favor. There's a word. He did not have sight.
He had vision. He had an insight.
He had insight, and that word for insight is revelation. Revelation. They had eyes but couldn't process. Did you catch what I just said? His revelation of who was coming. Oh my God. Oh my God. I got so many questions when I get to heaven. I got so many questions. Because I got to know now, was Jesus on the way and stopped and told him to come here? Or did he already pass him and turned and said, come here? See, those are the details I need now. Because there's one thing, I want to know, did my praise beat him? Or no, did my praise catch him before he came? Or did my praise make him turn around after he passed me? This is so critical, and I want you to catch this, because what do we see in verse 50? Are you looking at verse 50? He said, Bartimaeus threw aside his coat. That's so important. Why is that important, PMJ? Because there are some things you got to take off before you can go forward. There are some things you got to take off before you go forward. Verse 52, Jesus said to him, go, for your faith has healed you. Instantly, the man could see. Here's the part we like, Leslie. And he followed Jesus down the road. God, I pray you give us the strength to throw some stuff off tonight. I pray, God, you give us the peace to know that even if people try to muffle us, mute us, misguide us, if we just cry out, you hear us. God, I pray for every person who's blind right now, blind to the fact that there's more in them than they see, blind to the fact of how good of a spouse they have, but they're just stuck in the past, blind to the blessing of the children they have because of a few problems, blind to the blessing of good health when people are dying from a pandemic, blind to the goodness of God because they're too greedy trying to keep up with the Joneses. God, I speak by faith. You would give us a revelation of who you are. Not just who you are in an abstract sense, but who you are personally in our lives. For somebody sitting in a hospital bed or quarantine, you are a healer. For somebody with a bill behind, you are a provider. For somebody who has parents who have gone on to be with God, you are a mother or father. For somebody who's in one of the toughest fights of their life, you are a banner. You are a fighter. You are a warrior. You are a friend to the friendless. God, give us revelation on who you are to us. And God, publicly, I just want to say thank you. Oh, God, I want to say thank you that you stopped. I thank you that you stopped. God, I thank you that you stopped. While on others thou art calling. Yes, just stop by here, God. God, I pray, God, that you. Yes, God, yes, God. Right where you are, I dare you to just pray right where you are. I feel God in here. Right where you are, God's gonna stop by your address right now. The presence of God is finna stop and invade your space. Come on, I need somebody to just worship. Come on, take the next 60 seconds and just call on God. Come on, call on him. Redeemer, sustainer, chain breaker, burden bearer. Yes, God. Yes, God. Yes, God. Yes, God. The Bible declares in the book of Genesis that God said, let there be light, and there was.